The story of John Bunyan. John Bunyan was born on November 20th, 1682 in Elstow, United Kingdom. His parents were Thomas Bunyan and Margaret Bunyan, and his father was a blacksmith. When John Bunyan was a kid, he was a very naughty boy and didn't listen to his father. He was a very spoiled child. When he got older, he started having nightmares about him falling into hell. From then on, he became scared about death. Even still, he was so naughty. In 1644, his mother got sick and died. In the same year, his sister Margaret died too. He was very depressed and at age 16, he joined the army. In the army, he fought in the English Civil War. He was ordered to march into battle, but John was scared. He knew if he dies, he would go to hell, so he hesitated. But one of John's friends went instead of John and took his place. He was shot with the bullet. John grieved because someone took his place to die instead. After 2 years of being in the army, he came back to his home. He knew that if God was keeping him alive, he had a purpose. In 1649, John Bunyan was married to his first wife. Her name is not known, but she was a very faithful woman. Because of her, John Bunyan used to go to the church. He wanted to please God, but he did not have peace in his heart. In 1650, he had a daughter named Mary, but she was blind. Yet still, John loved her very much. When John was doing his job as a blacksmith, going from house to house, fixing people's broken tools, he met 3 women in Bedford. They were sharing the Gospels among them. John saw how happy they were sharing the Gospel, so he wanted to share the Gospel with others too. He asked the women which church they go to, and he started going to that church. In those days, the messages given in the church should follow the rules of the king, or else it was considered illegal. One day, he heard a message in the church about keeping the Sabbath day holy. Later on, in the same day, he went out to play with some of his friends. But God spoke to him from heaven and said, "Will you go to hell with all this sin, or will you leave them and go to heaven?" From that day on, John started reading the Bible more. He started getting peace in his heart. In 1656, his wife dies, leaving him with his 4 children, including Mary. In 1659, he married another godly woman named Elizabeth Bunyan. From this time on, John started preaching the gospel, and he was leading his own church. One day, when he went back to his church to preach, the government placed him under arrest for not following the king's rule. They took him to the court and told him that if he stopped preaching, they would let him go. But John refused to do it, and they kept him in jail. He was in jail for 12 whole years. He helped his family by making shoelaces and sending it to them so they can sell it to others. In 1670, he was finally released. He wrote 9 books in prison, and after he was released, he kept on preaching. In 1678, in February, he finally released his most popular novel, Pilgrim's Progress. He wrote the book in prison through dreams from God. He even wrote a second book. And on August 31st, in 1688, at age 60, John Bunyan finally met Jesus Christ.